Welcome, everyone, to Together We Serve TV show. We're excited. I'm excited to have you guys listening and watching. And my guest today, a quick small story. I met him through a podcast, my podcast, Doing Business with a Servant's Heart, and came to me from a podcasting matching where they bring guests to my podcast. Without even knowing it, as soon as we sit down and start talking, he's from the Bay Area, Northern California, San Jose. We actually went to the same high school. I'm actually much older. He's much better looking, but I actually watched him play football. He was number 5, stud running back, did some cool things, and it just really brought our connection to better and closer. But it also gave me an opportunity to support what he's doing. This is going to be about nonprofits and how you really could support nonprofits in a very cool way. And my guest today has an incredible background, too. For a very young guy, he's done incredible things, and it gives you hope that you could do some of these things as well. I want to welcome to the show, Chase Harmer. Chase, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steve. I appreciate the time and looking forward to connect. Last time was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and thank you for being on. I'm going to start the show. You gave me some not so great news. Your business partner, who I got really close to in my podcast, Rami, has passed away on Wednesday. And just this guy full of life. Yeah. Let's honor him.
Yeah.
Talk about him and some of the stuff that he's done.
Yeah, Rami was he was a super interesting, dynamic guy. He was homeless from 12 to 18. Then he made his first million when he was 19 years old. And then he turned that into $1 billion, then became homeless again. And then he turned it into another $1 billion. And these guys, like, just know how hard it is to make $1 billion. First of all, it's like most people will never, ever do this. And then to become homeless and with walking on, your bare feet on the street and with like a couple bucks and change and then turning into a billionaire again. It's kind of nuts. It's his story. He wrote a book, Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? And he really lived his life by the principles of Think and Grow Rich. And he's done some amazing things. I mean, there were some stories in there that there's a story. I just gotta say, he always put himself into situations to make deals happen. And there was this guy, and there's a story from the book. He the first time he met Carl Icahn, well, that's a longer story. So there's this billionaire guy named Khashoggi, and Khashoggi is this big, huge. I think he's from Saudi Arabia. It's like this prince. He's very wealthy. He was the richest guy in the world at the time, and I think he died at 62. So this is probably around his 20s, and he was trying to get in his inner circle. And there's the inner circle of the very elite. They keep their circles very, very tight, so it's hard to get in there. And so he was a high roller in Vegas, so he was putting himself in these situations to try to get in these get table games. And this guy Khashoggi, he had one of the guys that was actually close to him was this tarot card reader, and the tarot card reader, he actually paid the tarot card reader $10,000, and he told him, tell him the next time you see him that you're going to meet a guy named Rami, and so he has this whole thing where the tarot card reader tells him he's going to meet this guy named Rami, and for sure enough, Rami just shows up, at the right place at the right time. The rest is history. They do these deals together. He learned, because at that time he didn't really have anything to his name, but he basically put himself in a situation to have Khashoggi meet him. And I just thought it's such a Rami thing to do. Just push your way into the situation. And I thought it was so magical, tell him you're going to meet a guy named Rami, in your future. And
and I'm glad we're laughing because it's really sad. You shocked me, and you didn't purposely, but just telling me a story, because I think we just did the podcast a couple 3 weeks ago. And
yeah,
I've told his story to so many people, and there's more to it. And by the way, get the book. I've read it. I'm reading it again. It is unbelievable.
It's a great book.
It's just you're going to learn a lot of lessons.
It's a quick read too. It's like
it is.
You get it on Audible. It's like 2.5 hours maybe. But such a good read.
Yeah, I got the Kindle port. Yeah, it went quick.
Yeah.
But let's honor his legacy. I want to talk about. We'll get into wishes and nonprofits, and I want to bring in. But this is what people with a legacy do. Yeah. I'm going to pull up the website, the affordable website. I want you to talk about that as well.
Yeah, so this is the Independence Empowerment Initiative, right? So yeah, so on what we're doing with the Independence Empowerment Initiative is since Rami was homeless, several times. It's one of the you know, it's very near and dear to his heart, the homelessness in America, and every single city in America is suffering from this in some sort of way. In San Jose, in San Francisco, in LA, it's a huge, huge problem. Rami was from LA, and this is where the biggest population of homelessness exists. And so we developed a plan to take care of the homeless in one shot, and we bought the entire city of California City. We're going to be manufacturing infrastructure, housing, we're bringing corporations in their jobs, and going to be a green city. So there's a lot of different things that are going on. It's a huge, huge endeavor, and it's the initiative of the nonprofit to make this happen. And so when he passed away, we collected all the pieces of this, and we got it all in place. We have all the land, and then now it's just a matter of making it all happen. So it's a very, very big vision. It's a very, very grandiose idea, but it's achievable, and we have all the executors on the team to do it. We have architects, the housing builders, we're housing manufacturers, we're all the plants out there. We've bought all the land. We have all the corporations coming in, and so just all the things are kind of lining up for this to happen. And we'd love for anyone to be a part of it that likes to be. And for more information, please go to our DMs, or go to our contact page on the website.
Yeah, and if I remember, his goal is 1 million homeless and veterans to live there.
Well, yeah. So they estimate the homelessness in America to be about 1 million people or so, 800,000 people. So everyone's kind of all the cities are handling it a different way, but we feel like we have the ability to do it in one shot. And this is not this isn't something that's going to happen tomorrow, but it's a long-term plan to really kind of eradicate the problem and turn them into productive citizens. Yeah.
What a legacy to leave.
Yeah.
He left way too short, he probably knew that, or was aware that it was a legacy project, because it's going to be years and years.
Yeah. No, I mean, we had discussions about it specifically, and I think one of the things that he's made a lot of money and he's done a lot of things, but now it's really all about legacy, and he really made that known to me and everyone else. And he was so passionate about this project. I've never seen him this passionate about anything he's done, and he's taken a bunch of companies public, and he just was really, really excited about this. And it's a big, big idea that requires big people, and a lot of people that are willing to put in the work and help. And so that's what we're doing, making it happen.
Yeah, and I've talked to a number of people, and they're like, yeah, this is it's just, you can't not be somehow part of it. Whatever it's telling people, you just can't. I couldn't. I mean,
I'd love for him to be here and talk about it, but I essentially had to connect all the dots when he passed, and we have all the parcels, we have all the connectors, we have the builders, the architects, the behavioral infrastructure that we're going to be putting in there to rehabilitate the people and make them productive citizens, and of course produce job corporations that are producing jobs that can create the economy in California City as well. So
it's so powerful, and God bless you for carrying on his legacy.
Yeah.
And you're a young guy. I think, don't even say the age, but you've been 45. Successful. How old are you? 35?
45.
45. Okay. To me, at 62, you're young, but I love it. But what I love about, you've been extremely successful in business. You had started, we'll talk about that. Is that why this project and what you did with Rami so important to you? Because you're so successful.
Yeah, I mean, so listen, I think money. Money used, for me, for a long time, money was everything. Money was my god. And what I found out when things didn't happen the way that I needed it to is that money is not everything. Money is just a tool, and I think it's a lot for a lot of people. Simple things are the hard things for them to get, and so I was creating a way through Wishes to help people in need that needed to get the support and resources and support at the time that they needed it most. And Rami had called me. I had worked with him on the last few big projects, and we didn't really have an initiative besides governing the impact of the transactions for Wishes, and really wanted an initiative to stand behind it. And so I thought this was the greatest idea that I've ever heard, to help a big problem in the United States, everyone's dealing with. And I think every big city, metropolitan city, has this problem, and we're all trying to solve it a certain way, but it's not getting any better, And so I thought it was a big enough problem for us to be, hey, this is it, and we connected, and I already had a nonprofit since 2020, and it's a California nonprofit, and it's California City, and just made it was kind of like the universe connected the dots, and I was like, yo, like let's do this, this is the thing. So
You're talking, I gotta listen. It
yeah,
always makes
exactly.
you
I was
listen.
like, "Man, like,
Yeah.
you need this. I like, let's do this," So, and I was expecting to learn from him and, spend time with him, and, it's just a shame that, he's not here, It sucks. But
You're blessed to spend that. I was blessed to spend that 1 hour or two with them, and you were blessed with the time you got to spend, and
yeah,
we'll just help them move forward.
you were the last podcast probably he was ever on, for sure.
Yeah, true. Oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah,
means a lot to me. That means a lot to me. I want to start this about wishes.
uh-huh,
You said a story on the podcast that really I tell everybody
yeah,
about the homeless guy with the sign on the corner of the street.
sure, yeah.
Can you relay that story? What wishes is compared to that with the
Yeah,
QR
I
code?
mean, you think about, like, so the thesis of what we built is, if people understood where their money went, they'd give more and more often. So I take the example of the bum on the side of the road that has a sign, and he's like, "Hey, will give me money, whatever. I need money for whatever," right? Most people won't actually give him money because we're trained to think, well, he's going to go use it to get drunk or do drugs or something like this, right? So most people just won't do that. But if you knew, like 100% knew that that person with that sign was going to utilize that money that you gave them for what they said they were going to use it for, like food, right? The chances of you donating or giving money to that person, would go up by like almost like 100%,
Hmm.
percent. I mean, more people would be more likely to donate if they knew that that money was going to be used in the right way. And I think that's really what Wishes does, right? Wishes essentially is a platform that creates transparency on charitable donations. So no matter where you're looking to give money to or who you're looking to give money to, say the bum on the side of the road, not a great example because he probably doesn't have a cell phone, but let's, Tommy broke his arm, and, my mom has cancer, and, the church is raising money for, the ceremony or whatever it is, social impact related. You can give your dollars, get your tax deductible receipt, which you can't get through any other crowdfunding platform. That's number one. You get the tax deductible receipt because it goes through the nonprofit, and then those funds are pushed onto virtual Mastercards, and they can be utilized on those services or products that they need. So, like for instance, if someone's Tommy broke his arm and he has hospital bills, or mom has cancer and they have hospital bills and pile of debt, like they can those get put on a card, and we pay them off to the hospital, and those debts can be cured. And you understand that those funds are being utilized for the right way because as the credit card issuer, Wishes is the credit card issuer, we actually report those transactions back to the donors in real time. So when you donate, and you're trying to help a cause. I mean, people donate to people. We're motivated. We're emotionally connected to a story, right? And that's what makes us depart with the money, right? Maui Fire is just like, oh my God, let me help them, right? But how do you make sure that the money's going the way that you want it to? Most nonprofits or charities, not they're like a stewing pot. The money goes into the pot, but it might not necessarily be allocated to what you're trying to be what you're emotionally connected to. So if you're trying to make your dollars go to impact, that's really what Wishes does. It makes the impact matter, and it makes that connection happen. So
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to pull the website up,
sure,
and I'm going to have you. I cut myself off. I want to go through. When I was going through the website, the Wishes Ambassador. Let me pull that up. Tell me about this, and I'm loving this part.
yeah. So the Wish Ambassador, it allows donors to earn a 1% cash back on every donation they make. So first of all, through Wishes, if you're making a category specific donation, like you're giving money to someone to stay in a room tonight or have a roof over their head, or you're giving groceries or a ride share, those are categories that most credit cards will offer you bonuses and rewards on. So if you're donating towards a category, not only will you get your own cash back and rewards for donating towards a hotel or restaurant or all that stuff, but if you're an ambassador, you also get an additional 1% on all your donations, no matter what they're to. So even if it's non-cashback related. So you also get the messaging capabilities and prayer capabilities. So like if you, instead of sending money to a story, or you're able to give a goodwill, give a message to somebody that could help them, inspire them. So you can message back and forth with wishers in our platform, whether that's a nonprofit or a person. You can donate to multiple categories in one donation. So if you think about, as a wisher in our platform, a wisher can ask for up to 4 different things. I need help with groceries, medical bills, ride back and forth to work, and whatever the other category is. So if you're not an ambassador as a donor, you can only donate to one of those 4 categories they're asking for money. But if you are an ambassador, you can split that 3-4 different ways. You can split $100 donation, or a $50 donation, or even a $5 donation, multiple different ways. I want to give $1 to each of these categories, whatever that is. You're able to do that. So prayer messaging capabilities, 1% cash back on every donation. And then all of those, that $4.95 that it costs to be an ambassador, that all goes to the Independence Empowerment Project. So those funds go directly towards our initiative to help the homeless. And so for $4.95, you're empowering the Independence Empowerment Project, and that's for a whole entire year. It's nothing, And
I'm just gonna say that's not a typo. Oop.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's a nothing burger. It's $4.95, and for $4.95 a year, you're getting 1% cash back on every single donation you make. All these messaging capabilities, and that whole entire $4.95 goes towards the Independence Empowerment Initiative. So we don't take any of that as profit. It all goes to the project. So
well, you got to sign up here today. So you sold me. Talk about this app.
Yeah,
and that's the message.
Yeah, so the message. So the messaging app specifically, or
yeah, the Wishes Inc. app that I'm looking at. I think I'm sharing.
We're launching on iOS first, so that'll be available in the iOS store first.
Okay.
We essentially Remy came in as the CEO, and then he just passed away. So we're kind of just before we go live, we're just kind of connecting the dotting the I's and crossing the T's. But because it was fairly unexpected, nobody obviously knew that that was going to happen, and it was, it was nobody's minds that was even possible. This guy's bigger than life. So, so in the next week or two, we're going live. You'll be able to find it inside of the iOS store, the Apple store, at wishes.inc. And it'll be available very soon. And if you're not, today, you can actually go onto the website at wishes/NP Impact as a nonprofit, or wishes/donors, and you can get on the wait list to either one of those now.
Okay, there's the app. I'm going to put the link in the chat, and I'll put it in the live chat. Anybody out there in the live chat? Actually, I put it out there already. So if you're interested, I put it in the live chat, and let's see if we have any questions. Nothing yet. The other thing I'm excited is how it works.
Sure.
Let's talk about that.
As far as how the transparency works.
Yes. Again, I'm looking at the website.
Yeah. That one's so how it works page essentially is. Yeah, and I think there's some sort of typo on there earlier. So,
yeah.
So, how it actually works is we turn donations into virtual credit cards. So typically when you donate to a story, it goes into a black box called a bank account. So instead of actually going into a bank account, we rebuilt the financial infrastructure on credit card rails. So credit cards donations can come in. So you as a donor obviously understand what's going on with your own credit card. You can see those donations. But what you can't see when you make a donation today is what happens once it's gone, right? Once it leaves that your hands. So when we turn those into virtual credit cards and we send them over to a nonprofit to utilize, we actually bulk those up with everyone else's donations. So those are all done in real time. and those are spendable, in as little as 24 hours on a virtual MasterCard. And we're connected to about 1,000 big box retailers inside of our app. So inside of our app, on the wishes.shop, on the Wishes shopping link, you'll see a ton of different retailers on there. For everything: Costco, Sam's Club, Kroger's, Ralph's, Target, Walmart, you name it, they're all there, right? So we're then that's really how we're actually earn revenue as a company, is where those retailers pay us to send them the business. But those wishers, when they get the virtual MasterCards, they're pushed into the shopping portal. And it's no different than shopping at Amazon today. Same exact shopping experience, nothing different, except when you're doing it through Wishes, Wishes earns rebates back from the retailers. And that is what empowers the mission and makes the world go round.
So the donor wins because they get these ability to go to big stores, big box stores.
Yeah.
The nonprofit wins because they get a donation.
Correct.
Wishes wins because they get a piece from the. So you've got this circular ecosystem of everybody winning.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's, what I built inside the business world was we were doing the same thing for like an Expedia. So think of Expedia is like the middleman, right? And if you think about the wisher or the charity, they're basically the middleman, right? Same kind of situation, right? The mission's over here, but the middleman's here, right? And so the hotel's over here, but Expedia is here, right? What we were doing for them is credit cards in, then we turn those into virtual cards and pay the supplier, pay the hotel, pay the airline supplier. That's what books the ticket in real time. I was like, well, dude, it's the same exact thing for charitable donations. Like, who's the middleman? The middleman is the charity, right? What's the mission is the thing, right? So like, how do you actually you just become the whole economy of the transaction? Transactions in, transactions out. Pay the supplier. Customers pays the purchase, pays the supplier. Here, donors make the purchase. We pay the supplier, right? They're the charity's actually the one paying the supplier, right? In this instance, the supplier is whatever product or service they need to purchase, right? The healthcare, the ride share, the hotel room, the restaurant, the groceries for the family. All that stuff has to be purchased. And we just made it super simple, and we just became the whole enchilada, if you will.
Ecosystem, yeah. How does a nonprofit get involved with this? I think a lot of them would want to be.
Yeah, so how a nonprofit can get on the wait list today is if you go to wishes.inc/NP Impact, you can go there. You can obviously go through the calculator. You can see how you can actually raise more dollars and save money with Wishes. And there's a sign up page right there. It'll take you right into our wait list. And yeah, I mean, if you're a donor, you can go to wishes.inc/donor, and that'll get you right on the wait list there. So
let's see if we can, because I love this calculator. Actually did pull up. Yeah. There. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So how's this, let's kind of run through this real quick.
Yeah, so we have different plans. If you're a nonprofit, of course, it's free to join our platform. If you want to connect your bank for admin expenses and different things, there's different options. It's like a SaaS model, honestly. So you can choose those options at the top. That'll automatically calculate what those costs are. If you want to look more into that, you can just go into the pricing page on that under how it works tab. You can find out the options there. But while we're on the calculator, just walk through it. Yeah, if you go to the pricing page. What is it? The payments page. Sorry.
Okay, we won't go there, but yeah, so people can see it.
Perfect. Page, and you'll be able to see all the options there in more detail. And I'm trying to. It's a little small, but yeah.
So it says professional, premium, and enterprise.
Right. You just pick one of those, and then total donations that they're raised. Like what an average month that is, I believe.
Let's say it's 100,000. Let's do
$100,000.
And what total donations rates to be spent on products and services? Yep. Is that arbitrary?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you have like what goes actually. So you might be raising $100,000 a month, right? But you have overhead. You have mission related expenses, right? So not all of it goes towards the mission. Some of it might go to your admin, your people.
Okay, we'll make that. I got you.
Services, like if you're you're saving the hunger or something like this, what goes to groceries and those suppliers, right? Some of it's free, but some of it has costs, so it's like what goes to that. So I think we're asking what goes to the products and services, like what's those costs, because then we can factor in the rebates and what you actually can earn back. And then,
and there's your cash back. So it's 2,400
yeah, 24.
divided to your donors. And then estimated donation paid out to nonprofit minus fees, 119. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just $100 donation size. Wow. So
Yep.
I could change this to 20.
Yep.
And I'll take that into account. Actually,
you have to recalculate it.
How do you do that? Since we're doing this live,
it's hard for me to see.
Yeah, no, you can't see it. So if I change the donation size to 20, does it? So expect to increase in creating donors by using, which is 162%. That's huge.
Yeah. And I get go ahead. Sorry.
I just get, what's the average you think would happen?
Well, I think what factors into that is a bunch of different things. I mean, the ability to actually go back to a donor and basically have that conversation like, hey, look at what we did with your capital. So you're re-engaging donors. So you're able to actually take those results of what you're purchasing, and you're able to go back to collect more funds. The engagement is something that, every single nonprofit talks about. It's really when you're asking a nonprofit, hey, you ask you one time for $100, right? Asking you for $100 is, yeah, okay, maybe the first time you give it to me $100, but then 3 weeks later you need more money, so like, how do I go back to Steve and have a conversation with Steve and say, hey Steve, I need $100, we have this other thing. But it's hard to have that conversation when you can't not show what you're doing with that capital. And so I think what we're doing is we're allowing the nonprofits to raise a lot more capital. And I think there's other factors that go into that calculation. Bring that back up, but that's a big one. Is going back there to actually showing the transparency on how you're raising how you're spending those dollars. That actually goes a long way into collecting more dollars from them in the future. And I think every nonprofit can agree with that. And you're owning your own data through our platform too. So using our payments instruments, you're able to own your own data, which means that you can reach out to your audience. As strange as that sounds, not on your data, ask how many nonprofits actually own their data. Like, not many.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah.
Not many. Yeah, not many. And they don't have the tools to re-engage because a payment company that they're working with isn't sharing that information with them. So think about it. I mean, if you're a nonprofit and you have a hosted page and you just have random people going there all the time to donate to you have no idea who they are. You know what I mean? And a lot of times the actual payment company's not sharing all that information with you. So you have no really idea of like who these people are, or why they're there, or why they decided to donate in the first place.
Right. I work with data. Data is sometimes $8 a person. If you have a newsletter, one person, depending on your offer, if it's a high ticket offer, it could be $8 to $10 a person.
Sure.
Just in your database.
Yeah.
So they're missing out on this engagement dollars.
Yeah.
Which you give back. Which you give to them.
Correct.
That's way cool. You see, that's cool.
And the $2,400, that's stuff that can be given back, or it can be retained also by the nonprofit. It's up to them, but these are just incentives that they can decide to share or not.
That's really cool. Okay, well, let's take a quick break. Take a couple minute break. Let Chase has been talking the whole time, and we're so excited about what he's doing. And we'll come back in a couple minutes and talk more. I want to talk about entrepreneurship and how he's been so successful as well.
Cool.
So we'll see you guys in a couple minutes.
About their stories with our host Steve Ramos. inspiration, motivation for business and life. With our host, Steve Ramona, we're ready to start.
Welcome back to Together We Serve. We're in the second segment of our show. And Chase is doing incredible things in nonprofits. Every time I hear him talk about it, it's incredible. And they're hurting right now. COVID didn't help. I know I've talked to a number of people who had to close their foundations and nonprofits. And he's out there restarting them, sparking them back up. And any way you can support, go to wishes.inc or go to MP Impact to do that and see a way you can help. Or if you know a nonprofit, you can reach out to Chase. I'll put his LinkedIn there. Reach out to him and connect with him as well. Let me bring him back. Turn off this jazz music so we can talk again. Chase, is there anything else you want to add about Wishes that I didn't introduce or talk about that's important?
I mean, I think it's gonna revolutionize the way that people think about charitable giving, and the space is ripe for disruption. Every donor that you talk to, really the reason why people don't give is because they just wonder what goes to admin, what goes to impact. There's been stories over the last several years, like the Wounded Warrior Project and things like this, where just lots of the money's not going to where you thought it was. So, and even though there's a rare, far and few between. They stigmatize the idea because it is a black box and because people don't know, and so donors are just jaded. They just want to understand. And I think the younger generation, younger than me, I don't know what generation they call that, X, Y, whatever, Z, whatever.
PTX, yeah, there's so many of them.
They're technically savvy and they want to understand. You ask them about GoFundMe, they're like, no, dude, like they don't trust it, anymore. And I think it's just about establishing trust. And I think the nonprofits that like the Charity Waters of the world that are not afraid to show where the money goes, it helps them raise more money. It's plain and simple.
Yeah, and why I got excited about when I first met you in the podcast was I've heard over the last 6 months conversation of Wounded Warrior is a perfect example. I talk about, hey, what's your favorite charity? Well, I used to be Wounded Warrior, but I hear all these stories. Their president was flying all over the country.
Yeah.
I heard another story just 3 weeks ago where this the person I know, I won't say his name, was found out that this charity was staying in penthouses, was flying first class. And he's like, man, I'm giving them thousands of dollars. I stop.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, like, they pull at the heartstrings. Like I said, going back to the emotional connection, this is why it's almost like there's a broken trust there because it's like more emotionally, because when you're emotionally connected to something and you're like, dude, I want to help this. And then you find out because they pull at your heartstrings with the veterans and all this stuff. And like everyone, wants to give to the veterans and because we care, but then you hear, and then it's just sad that, a nonprofit is pulling at the heartstrings because they know that we'll give a shit. And then they don't do what they say they're going to do. It's like, it's like you got stabbed, like, dude, like what? It's like personal,
Yeah. It's emotional too. Yeah. It's like, what the heck? My hard-earned money.
Yeah.
I didn't start with your background because I want to talk about Wishes, but I do want to talk about it now. you've been super successful. We could talk numbers, but you sold your business. Talk about what you had and what you did to exit, what your product and service was.
Yeah. So, I started my first company. I was 19. I was in the credit card space. I built that to about $40 million a year by the time I was 32. And then I started building financial technology. I really didn't have a clue about how to build it, like what to do. I just, it's like, get the deal figured out. I can figure it out. I can figure it out. Well, technology is a lot harder to figure out than, it seems. So it just took me a while to get it. But that's what allowed me to do it so well and so fast the second time around. But, I had made a lot of money from my first business, and I parlayed that into trying to build technology. So I threw millions of dollars trying to figure that out. Then I raised, over 25 million to continue to try to figure that out. And we, made a product that was good enough to get acquired, and that's what happened. So, it just was a long story. It was a lot of trials and tribulations attached to that. And, it's like, for the life of me, I wouldn't want to ever relive that time, because it was just so, like, it was hard. It was hard. Every day you wake up, there's just another fire. And, but, had I not gone through that experience, I would have never been able to build what I did now. And I think there's a lot to that. It's like, people go, well, you learn so many lessons. Like, man, learning sucks. Learning that way sucks. Learning by
Yeah.
like, man, it's hard. And it's expensive, and it's painful. And
Well, I'm glad you go ahead.
When you win a lot, and then you start building things and you're trying to innovate things, and you fail so much, so when you're failing all the time, it's hard to deal with, because you're like, dude, like, I should be winning by now, this should be happening by now. But, it happens on its own terms, and it happens when it's supposed to. And, for the life of me, I'll never figure out timing. But, one thing I do know is that if you're persistent enough, it'll eventually pay off. So.
Well, if we figure out timing, we'll be billionaires like Jimmy. So that's for sure. Because that's one good thing he had. And what I love that you said, Chase, that even at 45, that you said you put millions in to learn. How many people I hear all the time, you got to pay to play, or you got to make money, or what's that? Pay money to make money, whatever that phrase is. You did that with millions of dollars.
If you're trying to do anything big, like, like, listen, you can go out on a limb and be like, oh, I tried. It's like, no, you didn't. Like, if you're not willing to risk everything and die on the cross, like, then, like, you just don't try, because ultimately, to make something big, like, I think there's a high barrier to entry too. So, like, the higher the barrier to entry, in my mind, the harder it is for someone to duplicate and replicate what you're doing, which is actually super true. But it's also extremely painful, especially it's never been done before, because you're crossing over roads which banks aren't familiar with. So there's way more compliance. There's a lot more heavy lifting. And whoever's behind you is going to have it way easier, but they still got to go through a lot of trials and tribulations of their own to duplicate it. It's just going to times change, compliance change. So the faster that you can build, the faster you can get to market, the better it is for you long term. And obviously that's what we're trying to do. And we were super, super ready. Then obviously Remy passed away. And so, we're about a week or two away though. So,
oh, that's great. Yeah. I was going to ask, so you're going to launch Wishes here in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, no, we literally we were there. It's already ready to go. It's already been approved. We just, obviously with his passing, it was a little bit of a shock, of course, and we just had to connect some of the docs and get some of these other missing pieces in place before we made it official. So,
and I want to add and make a preference to this. Not everybody can do what you did, Chase. If you can't go through trials and tribulations, it's not a faint of heart. Opening a business, and especially fintech. Fintech is a bitch, anyways. Excuse my language, but it is. And that's the point here. Don't think Chase is being flippant. He's not. Because I've talked to, they say the exact same thing you're saying, Chase.
Yeah.
This is not for everybody. That's why I think 2 or 3% of people in the world are millionaires.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to do.
Yeah. It's funny because I was at the county clerk's office this morning because I was getting a fictitious name. And I was literally thinking to myself, I was like, this is where, and then, you see the people like, oh yeah, like we're gonna do it, like, you see them like all happy, and I was thinking in my mind, I was like, this is where, like, this is like the happy room, the county clerk's office, everyone's like excited, like, business is happening, but like 9 million, 10 million businesses start every year, and like what, like 95% of them all fail, so like the reality is like, it's exciting. The county clerk's office is like the most exciting place for a lot of these people. Then after that, like, dreams, some of these guys don't ever get off the boat, they got the name and then that's it, they didn't follow through. But that's an exciting process, getting your first business card, getting your, when we did business cards, they don't do that anymore, right? But
Yeah.
but business cards, I remember when I got my first business card, I was like, man, like this is it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because your name's on there, your logo's on there, not your company you're working for, Apple,
Yeah,
Google, Amazon. It's your logo. No, and that's the exciting thing. And if you want to go small, me and Chase are behind you, honey. I'm going to speak for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to be a $250,000 a year entrepreneur, and you got, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
But don't come to somebody and start complaining like, I don't make 10 million like Chase or Rami. I didn't make billions.
Yeah.
There's steps to take, right?
Yeah, there's also, it's just like the complexity of the deal and like the level of the people that you have involved. I think any in the size of the project, like how big is the problem? Like how big is like the problem that you're trying to solve? Like the homeless problem it's billions of dollars being thrown at it right now. Nobody seems to have an answer for it. It just the problem just gets worse. And so it's like, how do you actually solve it? How do you actually make a lasting solution that it potentially has the ability to solve the problem long term? And I think that's what we're trying to do. So it's a massive problem. A lot of people have an interest in it, and I think that we can do it. So that's
great.
Yeah.
What is a tip you can give the challenges that you overcome as just an entrepreneur? Let's not do fintech, just things you learned that maybe the audience can learn from.
Yeah, man. So many lessons. I think, one of the lessons that I've learned is, you got to go slow to go fast. And what I mean by that is like, I was really rushing my last fintech, there's pressure. You got pressure, you got investors, you got all these different pressures happening. And so you're trying to rush product, you're trying to get these things out, but you don't really have all the answers. And so sometimes you think, well, throwing more people at it, that's the answer. And so you just do that. And then you find out that's not the answer because you didn't have process set up. So I think, taking a minute to step back and like looking at the problem holistically, and then, getting advice from people that know. And it sounds like, well, yeah, duh. Like, no, I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like I went for it. I wasn't going in, you know what I mean? And I was like, solve problems, like, break stuff, like fix stuff, but move forward. It's like constantly in motion for me felt like that's the way to fix it, like not like stopping for a second, taking a breath. Cause I felt like, oh, that's how you die, is you like stop, like stop. And then like, okay, try to fix, like that's death, you know what I mean? But no, it's not death if you actually can just think about it and then actually try to solve the problem. And instead, that could mean rework. That could mean doing some things that you don't want to do instead of trampling over. I think, that was a big one for me. And I think as a founder that's building technology or building a company, like you always got to be doing multiple things at the same time. So it's okay to do multiple things. And I think you can, outsource the stuff that you can, but a lot of times you don't have money to do that. Right. So, you don't have money to outsource, and nobody's ever going to do it as good as you. And I think giving up the reins a little bit and understanding that, yeah, they're not going to be a Chase. They're not going to be a Steve, no one's going to give a shit about your business more than you will. So you can't expect that, but like, how can you actually grow if you just do everything all the time? And I think one of the things was I had my hand in every cookie jar in the business last time because I had to be a part of it. The problem is it's just more disruptive than it is anything else. Like when you go in and you're like, hey, because most founders don't realize the power of their voice. We're workers. We're in the weeds. You know what I mean? Like we don't realize like, it's like, oh my God, Chase is coming. He's going to talk, it's like, and you're like, dude, like, what the hell is this? Like, do this. And everyone's like, oh shit, like stop, do this. And it's like, no, like I didn't mean it like that. It's like, but you have to really watch what you say. And I think it's more disruptive when you're trying to have your hands in all the cookie jars. Sometimes it doesn't have to be exactly as you need it. Like you have to be able to duplicate yourself, and you have to allow people to make mistakes. And if you don't allow people to make mistakes, and you're like, dude, what the heck was this? You'll never be able to walk away from the business at any point. You're just going to be stuck there forever. It's going to be just a very expensive job. You might be making $250,000 a year, but like you can't enjoy it. You might be making $1 million a year, but you can't go anywhere.
Yeah,
So,
it's not good.
No.
Let me ask you, we're going to dream a little bit, and there's a reason I'm going to do this. What right now, today, all that, would you start your fintech and do all that again? What now, not back then.
I mean, yeah, that's a good question.
And would it be easier? Would it be easier to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, yeah, I mean, what I know now, would I start it now? Of course, like I just did another one, so like, I mean, yeah, but like, would I endure those 10 years of pain to get, just to learn those lessons, to be able to do it again? That's a good question. Like, I mean, because I was making so much money, and so like, I really didn't have to do what I did, I did, and I like I went all in on the project. But that's just kind of who I am. I don't think I would be happy I just wouldn't be satisfied doing anything else but like stressing myself out to the max.
Well, I'm going to blow you up. There's a reason I asked that question is, this now, what you tell us as an audience, and I'm learning from you as well.
Yeah.
Is powerful. We don't have to recreate the wheel. Yeah. You did all that hard work. So when you put it out there on my TV show and my podcast or talking to people, audience, listen. Yeah. Whether it's Chase, a mentor, or somebody else, they did the work.
Yeah.
And listen, and maybe not all resonates with you, but if there's pieces of it, jump in. That's why I love doing these shows, because I learn from all of you, and I can take it in my own venture, my own projects and opportunities that I'm doing. So that's why I said that. And I like how you said, because you got to do it your way.
Yeah.
I can't run my business like you, Chase, and you can't do it like me, because we're two different people.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. That's a great lesson.
Yeah.
If, it's a different world. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, just dream again, what industry would you go in?
I mean, man. So I think there's engineering, like learning code and developing. I think that's the way, like, you can be a visionary, but like, man, if you don't, it took a lot, because when it first happened, and I think this is actually another lesson that you should probably learn. If you're trying to build technology, like you have to know what's going on in the infrastructure, like how all these different things. Like if you don't know enough, first of all, you're going to get jacked. Like you'll get highway robbered, for sure, because you don't know enough. And if you when I had my last company, the company was siloed, so I really didn't know like what was happening all the time, and I couldn't actually I didn't know enough to audit it, And I think if you have to be dangerous enough where you don't have to necessarily learn to code, but you have to be dangerous enough to know what you're doing, know what you're talking about. Otherwise, you're going to get taken advantage of, and the product will not work on all the way that it's supposed to, because you're the only person that cares about your business as much as you do. Like I said earlier, there's not going to be another Chase. You might not be a developer, but you know what to look for, right? So if you're checking all the boxes and you're making sure that all those things are there, you can't check the boxes if you don't know what to look for. And why isn't this happening? Why isn't this happening? Documenting the code and all the repositories, owning the repository, not having your developers own the repository, then own you, because you spend $5 million or $2 million building product, but you don't actually have the product. And it's you'd be surprised how many entrepreneurs I talk to that I'm like, well, where's your GitHub? Do you have all the code? Are they putting it into the code? Do you have someone actually testing, some third party that's testing the code they're putting in there to make sure it's not garbage, right? Because yeah, you might have a site and it might look like there's something there, but maybe it's on stilts and it's built out of straw,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't know that, and as a non-tech founder, so you really kind of have to have things in place to test these things, because those are the things that will kill you in the end, and those are the things that will end up costing you more money. Because let's say there's a world in which you and the developer team don't get along anymore. Let's just say that happens, and I'm not speaking from experience. Maybe I am, but like, let's just say that. So, but what happens when that happens and you don't own the keys to the castle? Good luck. And you really don't have any power. There can't ever be a single point of failure. There were so many single points of failure in my last business. You just, all well, there was one DevOps guy, and like, at the end of that time, like we had to get him to the table. We had to do, like, pay him extra, do these types of things. And it's just like way too much power to give somebody, when you have a huge product. And so, you need multiple chains, links in the chains. You need, a way to share all the passwords. There's just so many different things that you need to know. And it seems rudimentary, like, oh yeah, you should do this. When founders are in the weeds, we're building stuff, like, we're building stuff. We're trying to build product. You know what I mean? You're not thinking about how you keep things compliant, and what happens when you build the product? What happens after that? So I feel like,
Yeah.
Sorry to derail on that. I know I derailed, but
No, I love it, because when people derail, I learn so much. At least I do. I know some of the people in the audience. We're coming to the end here. I love making highly successful people like you down to earth. And I do this with one question. What does a Friday night look like for Chase?
yeah. If it's a football season, I'm at my son's football games, just hanging out. And my son's 15 now, so he's too cool to hang out on Friday nights with dad. But Friday nights, I'm just good. I'm low key, man. Super simple. I'll probably watch some Netflix and maybe watch some Trump news. What's going on?
I love it. Well, that makes it super simple. And I've got the Wishes MP Impact. Go out there or go to Wishes Inc. Sign up to be an ambassador. Like I said, I'm going to do that when we get off here and close this show. Is the best way to reach out to you LinkedIn and your website? Is there any other way?
Website, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Either way, all those channels were good. But I mean, if you want to try to get on the wait list, go to wishes.inc/NP Impact, and if you are a donor, go to wishes.inc/donors. So
perfect. Sounds good. And thank you all for listening. Next week, we have John Kidwell, who's a faith-based business coach and strategist. I'm excited to have him on to talk more about business. Chase, thank you so much. This has been a brilliant show.
Thank you, guys. All right.
And we'll talk to you all next week. Same time, same bat channel.